Hello guys, welcome to Solving Solutions, your number one channel where you get solutions to all your solving problems. It's nice having you in class again. How has been the new year? Hope you're doing very well. Today we are going to look at a few things on AutoCAD, and then we are going to show you how you are going to solve a particular problem. As surveyors or maybe the spatial analyst, we work with different document formats. So, for instance, if you are given a drawing in PDF and then you want to move it to AutoCAD with little or no distortion in the scale, your dimension, and you also want to give it the geographical location, like the coordinates, how would you go about it? So that's what we are going to consider on this video. We are going to see how you can convert PDF to AutoCAD, and then a drawing on PDF rather to AutoCAD, and then how you can make sure that the dimensions on the converted drawing is actually okay, and then how you can also attach a coordinate, or let's say coordinate to it. So one can actually call that geo-referencing, or as the case may be, but we aren't going to go deep into that. So now, without spending much time, let's see what we can achieve on this video. So the first thing we are going to do is that we are going to import the PDF file, or the PDF, drawing in PDF rather. We are going to import the drawing in PDF to AutoCAD. Are we together? We are going to import the PDF file to AutoCAD. Now, how are we going to do that? Maybe subsequently we are going to show you how you can save your drawing in PDF. But on today's video, we aren't going to consider that much. So now the first thing is that we want to move the drawing PDF file to AutoCAD. So there are different methods of doing it. That's the beauty of surveying. One can achieve a particular result in a different way, and another person can one way, another person can achieve that same result in another way, because there are different softwares and there are different methods. So now you can either type import, or you go towards the insert tab. So you either type import or you go towards the insert tab. So we have insert here. So upon clicking on it, it does what? It takes you to this next interface where you can do where you can import various file formats. You can import data files other than DWG files that were created with other applications into the current drawing. So we do what? We import. So it will take us to the file directly, file directory, where we might have saved, or maybe where we kept the PDF. So we actually saved ours on PDF to CAD. So we actually have a file there. So maybe when you want to work, you also create a folder, or maybe on your desktop, wherever you want to keep it. So you move it there, and then by the time you come to import, if it's not taking you directly to where the file, you navigate through your computer and then access it. So we are having this is a file we are going to work with, PDF to CAD. So you click on it, and then you see the preview here. So you do you open. Are we together? Good. So this next import PDF box pops up, and I think we aren't going to do much here because we just have one page. So maybe if you are having maybe more than one pages, I think you are going to select from here the number of pages and the total and the rest of that. So the scale is still the same thing, like it should appear like one scale, rotation 0, as the case may be. So we now move the page size. I think this should be A4, 210 by 297 millimeter. So we say okay. So this will now move or this will import the drawing to AutoCAD. Are we together? So that's the first step. Now, upon bringing it down here, the next thing we want to do is that we want to be sure if the dimensions as they are being labeled on the drawing is actually the same way as it is now on this on the AutoCAD. Are we together? Remember that it was actually it was designed on AutoCAD, converted to PDF, and sent to you. So you now want to work with it on AutoCAD. So you must make sure that it is having the same attribute, or it is the same as it was when it was converted to PDF. That's what we want to do. So the first thing is that, remember I was telling us how to import from PDF, or how to move from PDF or to CAD, and then how to make sure that your dimensions, or maybe that scale, is not distorted, maybe little or no distortion. So the first thing now is I want to check if this distance is actually what 14 point, or this length rather is actually 14.37 meters. Are we together? So we can use the shortcut, which is DI, distance. So upon typing that, we just say what? We say enter. Then we'll move our cursor to one of the edges. Then we move the second one to this point. Let's see. Good. So what we have 1.409, whereas we are supposed to have what 14.37, but we are having what 1.409. So is it the same thing as what was sent to you? The dimension, is it the same thing? The distance, is it the same thing? No, it is not. So we are going to do what? We are going to scale it to have this same what? To have the same distance. So what are we going to do about? I believe it's same thing for all the other sides. So what are we going to do? The next thing we are going to do is we are going to determine the scale factor. We are going to determine what? The scale factor. That scale factor will help us in order to either reduce or increase this drawing to meet the standard we require. Are we together? So in this particular case, we need to increase it to meet that distance, or standard distance, or as the case may be, to meet that distance we require. So how do we get that scale factor? It's still very simple. I hope you followed us to this point. It's still very simple. Now, the designed distance there is 14.37 meters, but as we just checked recently, we saw 1.409. Are we together? We saw what 1.409, which is this. So how do we go about it? So the next thing now is that we are going to use the calculator on the software. There's a calculator on the software, they call it quick cal or whatever the case is. So we still use the shortcut CAL. So we have different options there. So CAL rather. We have different options there. Quick cal, so calculator. So instead of you to look for calculator, how do I go about this multiplication or division or whatever, the software already has a calculator. Inbuilt calculator you can work. Now we were talking about how to get what? The scale factor, right? Good. Remember that we have 14.37 here as the designed length, whereas when we moved it to this software now, when we moved it from CAD to from PDF to this CAD now, we're having 1.409. So we need the what? We need the scale factor. So to get the scale factor, it will be the original distance divided by the distance you got when you moved it from PDF to CAD. The original distance here is what? 14.37. So you do what? You type 14.37 on the what? On the calculator on your screen here. You can see it what? Divided by, what do we have here? 1.409. We have 1.409. Are we together? So what's the quotient? We have 10.1987225. Are we together? We have what? 10.1987225. Right? Good. So this will be our what? This will be our scale factor. Are we together? We've gotten the scale factor. Now we want to scale. We still use what? The shortcut. How do we get scale? SKRILL. I think we need to close this. Remember the value there. So we need to get what? Scale. So we do what? SKRILL, which is what? Scale. So we click on it. Now it's asking us to select object. We need to scale the whole drawing so that we don't have much issue. So we just try to highlight everything at once so that we can work with all the objects we have on the screen. Good. So we've achieved our aim there. So we say what? We say enter. Now it's asking us to specify base point. That means a particular point from which to start the zoom, maybe the expansion, or maybe the reduction, as the case may be. So we just come and then maybe we choose one of the points, or as the case may be, you can decide to choose anywhere you want to choose for your own base point. Let's say we specify this as our base point. Now the next thing is it's now asking us to do what? To type in what? The scale factor. Are we together? And remember, the scale factor we got was what? 10.1987225, right? Good. So upon typing that, you just enter. So you've gotten what? The desired result. Now let's see what happens. You zoom to screen like zoom extent. So we now have our drawing on our screen. Now let's now check if what the distance we have here is actually 14.37 or it's still that 1.409. So how do you go about it? You say di, which is what? Distance. You enter. Then you now choose start from here to so we're having what? 14.371, which is actually correct to maybe a millimeter or at least. So the first thing, we moved from PDF to AutoCAD. The second thing, we've tried to scale our length or the dimension to the desired dimension of what we need. Now the next thing is that we want to make sure that the coordinates are actually in order. Now how do we know that? Let's use ID. When you use this command ID, it gives you the coordinate of any point you specify. So let's say we ID this point here, because the coordinate of this point is known. We're having x as 2.856 and y as what? Easting as this and northern as that, which is not supposed to be, because that was not what we that's not what we have as the coordinate of point. Let's say point 1. Let's call that point 1. Yeah, that's not the coordinate of point 1. So how do we now ensure that we have the coordinate of point 1 where it is supposed to be? That is I think the final part of this video. So the first thing we are going to do now is that we are going to use a method that might not be maybe what you expect, or it might not really be the way you thought it would be, but we are going to achieve our result. So I'm going to pick the line tool, and I'll try to plot the real coordinate of point 1. Then we'll now continue from there. Are we together? Good. Either the line tool or a point, but I'll prefer to use the line tool. So we come to this point, we pick what? The line tool. Then create line jare. Good. Specify first point. So the easting of the first point is actually 263, yeah, 259.894. Then we have 523 289.425. Good. So that's our first point. Actually a bit far from this place. Okay, let's just assume that we have something like that. So we still do our zoom extent. Are we together? I hope you're still with us. Good. Now by the time you try to zoom and try to identify where the first point is, this is actually our first point. Are we together? This is where the first point is supposed to be from the first AutoCAD drawing. Now let's ID this point to see if it's actually corresponding with the coordinates we are supposed to have. So we come to this point. We are having 263.894, then 523.289.425. Therefore, that's the point. Now, what we want to do now is that we are going to move. That's why I said it might not really be what you were expecting. We are going to move the whole of this drawing here to fit into that first point, and that will be the end of it. Are we together? Good. Now let's go together. So now the first thing now is that we've been able to know that this the first point here, the coordinates we're having for this first point is wrong. Are we together? Good. So we want to move it to its actual position, right? Good. So let's highlight everything. Let's highlight everything, which is what we are doing now. Okay. This is what we are doing now. Just need to walk. So yeah, let's highlight everything. Change. Good. Then we do what? We move. So you click on that the command. You use what? MO, or let's say M as the case may be, to move. Now we are going to what? Specify a base point, and the base point we want to specify is actually what? That starting point. Let's call it A. We are going to specify that our base point as what? As A. So we move from there. Then we now move it to that other point we defined some minutes ago. The other point we defined was some minutes ago, which is somewhere around here. I hope you actually followed us up to this point, and then I hope you are learning a thing or two. I know this last method or this last approach might be why is he doing it like this? You know, there are different methods you could actually do it, and then you would also what? You would achieve your result. Good. So this is the first point we plotted. So we are going to do what? Ensure that that first point falls exactly at this point. Let's see how that goes. So we are there now. So if we say we want to place it there, we are now saying that that is where the first point is. Are we together? Good. So without spending much time, let's see. So let's just put it there. Now the next thing we want to do now is that we don't really need this line. Purpose has been actually used it for one. So zoom extend to make this whole drawing. Now let's ID this point. ID this point to see if we get so we have 263.259.984, then 523 289.425. So with this we can actually ID the second point, and then we just get the coordinates as they are supposed to be. Are we together? I believe you found solution to this particular problem. Moving from PDF to CAD, trying to scale your drawing to the actual scale, or maybe the dimension, or as the case may be, and finally this would I say unusual method. Yeah, this unusual method of attaching coordinates to a particular point and moving it. Yeah, and moving it. I know it might raise some controversy, but I would like to hear from you in the comment section. Maybe if you've tried it out, if you have any challenge, or maybe you've done it before, it did not really give you the results you need. Let's discuss on the comment section. So yeah, thanks for coming to class. I hope we've been able to show you how to solve this particular problem. Please, if you're just coming for the first time, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share with your friends. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for always checking on us. We are going to see you again on the next video. Until then, make sure you stay safe, and then you follow the government, let's say, guidelines or protocols as we are in this trying time. Yeah, thanks. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.